Hello guys, this is Movie Lover and welcome to this Movie Lover world. Today I will explain the science fiction drama, thriller film from titled Lifelike. Before starting the film, make sure to subscribe and like this video. The movie begins and we see a married couple, a girl named Sophie and her husband James. They are bringing an old couch into their apartment. Sophie loves to do all the work and she is about to renovate this couch. They are living a happy married life there. Financial condition is average. James' father is a wealthy businessman and the owner of a big company. However, there are some problems between James and his father. That is why he does not live with him. He is living a middle-class life with his wife Sophie. One day James receives a call and he is informed that his father passed away. They also tell him that his property and business are in his name. You will have to take over the business. Later we see that they are rich. They move to their new house, which is a lot bigger than the old apartment. Their lifestyle has completely changed. Sophie does not like this new lifestyle because everything has changed so suddenly. She is not happy with her new life. They start living in their new house. They have servants to do all the work. However, because there is no one to take over the business, Sophie accepts the reality and starts living her new life. Later in the morning, Sophie fires two servants in the house because she used to do all of the work by herself. Later, when James finds out that, he tries to explain to Sophie that she should not have done that. Sophie is not happy, so she tells him that we should spend our lives the way we want. We should do all the housework on our own like we used to do. James tells her that this is a big house and even if she wants to work, she cannot do it alone. James also tells her that you do not have to do anything. Later we see James in his office. The change in his life is hard to handle for him. He has many responsibilities. He is managing all his business with zero experience. On the other hand, Sophie is struggling with her new house. It is hard for her to manage everything. At night, James is sitting with one of the managers in his company. James tells him everything is hard to manage and he is not giving time to his wife due to the workload. The manager replies that there is a scientist in our company and he has been experimenting with new generation technology. He has developed robots. Those robots are completely like humans. Moreover, they will do anything you tell them to do. James is convinced that this might be the solution to his problems. Later, James brings Sophie to his company to meet the scientist. When they see the robots, both of them are shocked because those robots are behaving like humans. They decide to keep one. James tells her to choose between them. Sophie likes one of the robots. His name is Henry. The scientist ensures James and Sophie that his robot will never harm them. Later, the scientist shows them a demo by commending Henry for licking James' shoe. The scientist tells them that he will do anything they order, even if it is bad. Sophie and James both are happy and they bring Henry home. Later we see Henry doing all the regular work at the house, washing and cleaning everything by himself. When James talks to Henry, he replies in a good way. James starts to like Henry more because he is just like a human. That is why James shares all his problems and his secrets with Henry. On the other hand, Sophie feels uncomfortable with Henry but has a slow start to like him. She starts spending more time with Henry. They both read books and do other activities together. Sophie is feeling happy. Furthermore, that is why Henry is also feeling happy because he is designed that way. If his owners are feeling happy, he will feel the same. Before, Sophie and James were disturbed in their life. However, now everything is sorted because of Henry. Later we see Sophie and James are enjoying the poolside. Sophie asks Henry some questions about love, emotions, and human feelings. He explained nicely what love, emotions, or human feelings are, and the difference between them. Hearing this, James forbids Henry to indulge in such talks because he does other work very well. She was impressed by Henry due to this. However, James does not like this. He tries to explain to his wife that he is not a human but a robot. James explains that do not let him feel that he is a human because he will behave exactly as you treat him. If they considered Henry a human, he would start thinking of himself as a human. However, Sophie does not agree with her husband because Henry was perfect like humans. He did his work perfectly and did not make any mistakes as humans do. One night, Sophie hears some noise. She checks Henry in his place, but he is not there. The Door was open and Sophie saw Henry lying in the garden. When she goes near him, she realizes that he is dreaming. This thing was new and weird in the robots. James wakes him up and they take him inside. The next day, they tell the scientists that Henry went to the garden at midnight. Therefore, that scientist comes to their home and checks Henry. Scientists tell them that it is not their fault. This is a small error that is normal. This will not happen again. You will not experience any complaints. Sophie tells the scientist that I noticed him dreaming. Scientists say that Henry has been living with you many past days. Therefore, he might have thought of you and some feelings are generated in him. You made Henry feel like a human, so he considered himself a human. Hearing this, James becomes angry with his wife that everything happened because of you. You are treating him like a human. Therefore, that error appeared. From now on, you will consider him just a robotic machine. He does not have feelings. He will do what we ask him to do. However, Sophie did not think like this about Henry, and she will never. Both husband and wife become angry with each other. Therefore, James orders Henry to stay away from his wife and will not spend time with her. You will not read books with her. Hearing this, Henry asks James, have I made any mistake? James says, do not argue with me, just follow the command. The next day, Henry talks to Sophie and tells her everything. She becomes angry. Later, we can see that Sophie is attracted to Henry. She started liking him despite knowing that he was not a human. She kept thinking of him. She dreamed of him. Henry is so nice that James also started liking him. He is also attracted to him when Sophie is not at home. James forces Henry to make love with him. Henry feels bad about this. He does not tell this to Sophie. He hides it. However, Sophie started like Henry now. Later, when Sophie and Henry are together, Henry develops some human feelings and confesses that he loves her by kissing. Hearing this, Sophie gets nervous and scared because he started behaving exactly like human. She gets so afraid that she asks Henry to go back to where he came from. Sophie tells her husband that Henry confessed that he loves her and kissed her. After hearing this, James feels angry. He wakes up Henry and slaps him and then turns him off. Then he calls the scientist to take this robot back as they do not need it now, and tells him that he has destroyed our lives. However, Henry had completely changed. He had acknowledged that they were about to destroy him. He requests Sophie not to send him away as he likes staying here. Henry tells them, I accept the mistake that I made. I am ashamed of this. I do not know when he started developing human emotions and liking Sophie. She tells Sophie that James forced me to do bad things. Sophie feels very bad after hearing this. Both husband and wife confess that both of them got attracted to Henry. They regret it and they will soon get rid of this robot. They will have a good and simple life together. Then that scientist comes to take Henry. However, Henry is not following the command like before. He says bad words to the scientist, and here a big secret is revealed. We saw from the beginning that Henry never looked like a robot but looked like a human, because in fact he was not a robot but a human. The scientist was responsible for this, calling himself a robot maker. His father started this thing. He did experiments to make humans perfect. He wanted to train Henry so that he would not make any mistakes and obey all the commands. The scientists were actually experimenting on humans. The scientists taught them many good things. He kept trying to make humans perfect as he did with Henry. He started brainwashing Henry when he was a kid. He was taught that he is a robot, not a human, but could it change someone when he started living with Sophie and her husband? His humanistic emotions popped up like his dreaming and love for Sophie, etc. Later, when the police find this out, they arrest all of the company members, the people who were considered robots. When that scientist sees his experiment as being destroyed, he becomes angry and starts shooting the police. He kills the police officers. He also tries to kill Sophie and James, but Henry protects them, and he kills the scientist. Henry is feeling so sad and attempts suicide. He left Sophie and her husband for good. After some years, we are shown a scene. Sophie and James have a baby boy named Henry. They never forgot Henry and named their son Henry so they can honor his memory. The movie ends here. I hope that you enjoyed the video. Movie lover will meet you again with new story. Till take care.